of X-Men. And he's taking all the characters you're familiar with, Storm, Jean Grey, Professor X, and kind of telling the next chapter of where they are. I think the Marvel movies could take his ideas and apply that to the mutant universe to create X-Men movies without ever having to disassemble or take apart or ignore the previous movies. We're just going to assume that they're different actors in the same way that the Spider-Man movie has with Spider-Man.
Okay. All they have to do is, with Doctor Strange, they're opening up to the multiverse of madness of the multiverse or whatever. They're introducing the multiverse. Then you just say, Spider-Man movies took place on Earth blah, and the X-Men movies take place on Earth X, and the Fantastic Four movies take place on Earth shit. And then you go from there, and then...
Earth shit.
Yeah, and then you can have, when they have a Watcher character show up, he can do little flashes of those over there, and this is the main universe that we're dealing with here. But I think, that eventually they're going to get up to an Avengers versus the X-Men movie, where there's a mutant that did something, and the X-Men, or the mutants are trying to protect him.
Oh, yeah.
And the Avengers are trying to get them, and then you get X-Men versus Avengers, you get Hulk versus Wolverine, you get all that kind of stuff.
Okay. So, I know at least I seem to recall this, you've not been a fan of the X-Men films, any of them, correct?
I liked First Class because it took risks.
Yeah, I did too. I did like that quite a bit.
What I wasn't expecting, but other than that, it wasn't great.
Are there any actors that you have thought, just like they bring J.K. Simmons on in Spider-Man?
I'd like them to...
Is there any actor from the X-Men universe of films that have been made now that you could actually go, okay, I'd be cool with them bringing them on to continue just with better stories and whatnot?
As the same characters?
Yeah.
Quicksilver.
He's pretty good. But by the time we get to that point, I don't know if he could do it anymore.
Deadpool.
Okay, Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. There you go. Yeah, that's the one I would bring over.
I did think that was odd, too, that they didn't announce a movie for him, and he even took exception to it, apparently, which I thought was pretty funny.
That's probably the one character that I could see bringing forward.
The guy who played Colossus in the Deadpool movies, too. I could see bringing him over as Colossus.
That was a CG character in the last
But there
movie.
was a real actor who played him.
Yeah,
it wasn't...
the voice actor.
He did a good job. He did the motion capture, too.
I'm not beholden to any of the actors in a way that makes me think they'd be great moving forward, particularly because of the amount of time that's going to happen.
Yeah, they've all kind of aged out.
There was a tease that Hugh Jackman could play Old Man Logan, which would be fascinating by that point.
Well, he's already done that. It was Logan.
Yeah, it was called Logan. Yeah,
which I did like that movie. All right, because once again, being the neophyte to the Marvel world, if you're casting Wolverine. Probably to the average person on the face of the earth, the most iconic of the mutants is Wolverine.
Yeah.
Who would you pick to be Wolverine?
See,
would you go for an unknown?
That's what I think. I think you have to. Now, I know Hugh Jackman was known in Australia, and he was on their version of Broadway and singing a whole lot of stuff. But to the American audience, he was relatively unknown, and I think that was his benefit. So I would prefer, I think, an unknown or somebody who's relatively new. I would like it if maybe they tried to stay true to the character and make him a little shorter.
See, I wondered if they would do some kind of CG element like you're talking about with Natalie
Captain
Portman,
America,
where you're almost pushing him down a little bit.
Like they did with just Lord of the Rings.
Forced perspective with it,
I'm not that honestly familiar with the actors enough to.
I didn't know if there's anyone that you ever look and think,
that'd be a good Wolverine.
Yeah,
not really. No,
I mean,
but going back, if you had known who Jackman was before he was cast a role, would you go, oh yeah, he's going to make a good Wolverine that I'm going to see in 18 movies?
But when you think about what Marvel's strategy now is, they don't like to take risks on unknown actors. They like to pull popular actors in at this point. Now, they have taken risks on actors they picked, and there have been a few unknowns mixed.
Starting with Robert Downey Jr. being the big unknown to begin with.
Taking the risk on him.
Right.
But was Tom Holland well known before Spider-Man? I don't know.
No, he'd done some work, but I looked that up with Abby the other day, and he'd done work, but he was not a known commodity at all.
Here and there, but largely they still like to tap from known properties that will sell.
I mean, even the young lady that's doing, is it Valkyrie? Is that character's name?
Tessa Thompson.
Yeah, I mean, she's not exactly what you're talking top tier actress. She's had, supporting roles, and so they took a chance of her. Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
I mean, he was
relatively unknown.
You're proving me wrong.
No, I'm just trying to balance it because then on the flip side, you can say Patrick Stewart when they cast.
That's what I was going to say. If they do if they bring X-Men over, it'd be nice if they could have a Patrick Stewart in there as the older mentor. You don't have to necessarily have someone because he's teaching.
Right.
And he's trying to teach him. And maybe his character dies in this first movie or whenever he's introduced. And that's kind of the impetus that makes the X-Men do whatever they need to because their father is gone now. And we're on our own and we have to stand on our own.
Yeah. Well, it's all very interesting.
We've got an interesting 2 years coming up.
I've told you guys, and I'll tell the audience, the only thing my wife cares about is that there's a Hawkeye show.
So we got WandaVision, we got the Falcon and Winter Soldier, lots of stuff. The Loki show.
They all just sound really boring to me. Loki is the only thing that sounds interesting. I mean, I want to figure out more about Wanda and Vision.
How that's working since he's dead.
I don't really care about Winter Soldier and the Falcon. That sounds just boring.
I think all these are
I like Loki, but only because of the actor.
I think these are all just miniseries, too. It's not like it's continuing.
I'm sorry, if they make Hawkeye, I don't want to see a Hawkeye series unless it's when he's Ninja Dude killing everybody.
Ronan. That's part of it. What they're talking about.
That's a part of it.
It has to be that. Otherwise, and also, I hate to be snobby father of an archer. If he's going to be the best archer on the fucking face of the earth, could they hire someone to make him shoot like an actual archer? He puts his hand out here and does this, and he sucks.
It's his own style, man.
But I'm already not a fan of him as in general. Like
Jeremy Renner
I don't get him.
You don't like Jeremy Renner?
You don't like his...
I don't not like him, but I don't get him.
You didn't get his new album? Come on, man.
I saw that and I was like, seriously, brother? Why?
Come on, brother.
I mean, you're in a big movie franchise. Just go play your gigs quietly and don't release your albums and...
Just make your jerk-off album for yourself.
Even though he was in a reality show, and I'd have to look up what it was whenever he first started, and it was like making the grade or making the act or something like that. Mm-hmm. It was about struggling actors going out on auditions, and I watched every episode of it because it was when Abby was a baby, and I'd get up with her in the middle of the night, and that's when it was on. And I remember even thinking then, you could, I think they followed 5 different actors, and you could tell he was hands down the most on spot, actually had intensity to what he was doing. And I was not shocked when he actually ended up being somewhat of a star.
Gotcha. Well, how long has that been?
How long has that been since that?
No, we've been talking. How long is this minute going?
22. Are you sleepy now?
Well, no, it is 9 o'clock.
Well, hey, audience, Sean has reached his 9 o'clock moment. He's got to go Betty by.
I'm not drinking till September. I got something else to do.
Well, what is the reason for that?
I have to do a liver test, and there's I don't know what number it is. It's elevated, and there are 2 causes for it. One's called non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and the other one is called alcoholic fatty liver disease. And the non-alcoholic, you can do nothing about. It's genetic. It's like 1 in 5 people get it, and there's no cure for it. It's just something that happens, and you just have to watch what you eat and stuff like that. And so they're just trying to determine what it is, and you just have to not drink for about 2.5 months so that the numbers will be adjusted if it is alcoholic fatty liver disease.
So if it ends up being alcoholic fatty liver disease, that means you have to cut alcohol out for the rest of your life?
I think that means that my alcohol intake would be very limited to like a beer a night or something like that. Or
I'm sorry.
I know. At that point, it's not worth it.
I was just thinking about going to buy a bottle of wine on the way home.
My beer is this big. It's a keg. That's my beer.
So that's one of my favorite things, and I know I've said this in front of Richard, but I'll play video games with Sean. And even my daughter will come and go, is Sean drinking?
Is he drunk right now?
Is he drunk yet?
Oh, yeah.
Because she'll hear going, hey, just go. She's like, Sean's drunk. I was like, yeah, Sean's drunk.
That's when she sits down and pulls out the popcorn and starts listening.
Abby literally will sit and listen to Sean and she'll even say, do you ever get to say anything? I'm not when Sean's been drinking.
No. That one night we just sat there and Red Dead Online and shot each other in the head and made our hats fly off and were posing with each other's bodies.
And Abby actually sat there and giggled with that too. By the way, also we talked about all the people you look like. Bobby Flay as well. The chef.
Bobby Flay. The chef. Celebrity chef, Bobby Flay.
Who's Bobby Flay?
Oh, he's a chef, like the chef of all chefs. He's apparently one of the most educated chefs there is.
He's a dick, too.
You know what? He is, but at the same time, he's kind of not a dick. He's kind of like a condescending, nice guy.
Sure.
You know what it is? It's right here. It's just a little bit.
Sure.
Hey,
So if you don't know this, Richard looks like every person with red hair that's ever been on the
look like
any slightly bit red, yeah.
Hey, you look like Carrot Top.
Hey, why don't we just keep going all night?
You look like Danny Bonaducci.
We'll do it till next week.
Y'all want to just keep going all night?
You look like that guy from Grey's Anatomy.
Let me get my Jesus.
Who else do you look like?
That guy from Star Trek Discovery.
Who else?
He looks like Richard.
Oh my God! So the best one that I got.
Yeah.
The best one that I ever got. I don't know if I've told the story. The best one. I was in El Paso. My sister was in high school, so I was in my 20s. And she wanted to go to the McDonald's. We drove to McDonald's. We get to the counter, and the woman in the drive-thru would not give me my food because she thought I was related to Tina Yothers from Family Ties. So that I was the brother.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding. She thought I was the brother to the young girl from Family Ties, Tina Yothers, and she wanted to know if I knew her because she thought I looked like her.
And so she didn't give you your food. It's a punishment. Are you her brother? I'm not going to give you your food.
Might have been better. Yeah, it was McDonald's. She eventually I eventually told her I wasn't. And she's like, really? You're her brother, aren't you? No, this is not. Who are you fucking with me? Give me my fucking food. I didn't say that, but she did give me my food.
I somehow love it that you are everyone.
He's everyone.
It's all in me.
All right, well, they sing us out. That's it. We'll see you later.
We don't have the rights for that music. Cut it out.
God damn it, Richard.